Show. Always Irish. Show. Always Irish. Show. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. What are you doing? Don't do this to me, Harry! The Ohio State. It's Ohio State! What do you mean, the? It's a poison! I almost stroked out and died over it. I'm glad to be at the party. I'm mad we're this late. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship! That helps the defense without them even doing a damn thing! Doing a damn thing! The call-in line. 312-988-15. You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. No Irish. Irish. Yeah, that's right. Ooh. There's some heavy stuff in the chat this morning. I wasn't expecting it. I'm thinking it's a Friday morning. We're going to ease into this. Everybody's, relaxed in the summer. It ain't that. And here's the part that's messing me up, you guys. Here's the part that's getting to me. Everything in this chat has been running mind for like the last couple days. Heavy. So much so that it's almost freaking me out how specific some of the exact concerns and worries and big picture and small picture stuff. It's exactly what's been on my mind. In fact, I was on the phone late last night with the Notre Dame person, and I swear to God, Andrew especially, we talked through every single thing that you've been every single recruiting angle that's been talked about this morning has been on my mind, and I was talking about it last night with people, and all of it. Andrew, it's good to have you back. He was on the road, and he comes back, and he's mind reading me. Oh, man. This is just, it's getting to where I don't know. I don't know whether this 25 class is going to turn into like the class that changes everything that we've all been waiting for, and it's off to the races, and you finish strong with 4 or 5 more 4-star guys. You hold on to the guys you have, and this thing gets rolling. Or if it all just starts to unravel. And what that's going to look like and feel like, and what the storyline's going to be, and then how do you navigate from whatever that situation ends up being? We're teetering here, and I can feel it going either way. And I just wish I didn't have that feeling in me of recruiting anxiety. I've been here before. I know how this movie ends, and I know I don't like it, and all that. Verse, can this just be different this time? Can it just be different? Can we just land our guys and play football? Or what? Like, it's real. And that anxiety's real. And those worries are real. And the hopes are real. I just don't know which way it's going to go. I can see a perfectly realistic path that this you end up holding what you need to hold, getting what you need to get, and we just keep it moving. And it's the most talented class Notre Dame's had top to bottom in a long, long time. But I can also see it unraveling a little bit, and I don't know who to blame. And that's going to be the part of this. That's going to be the part of this that causes some frustration, is if it unravels a little bit. Who do you blame for that? How do you fix that? And all that stuff you guys talked about before the show went live, and I was yelling about it on the phone last night. You're spot on. So we need to get into this. Some of this was already on my notes. This is getting, I just don't like this feeling I have of this frustration and anxiety and the feeling of being really close to what I want Notre Dame to do, but like not. This is going to be stressful. This is going to be stressful. Jerry Reinsdorf's burner says, John, I think both my franchises are unraveling. Well, you're 20 years late to that realization. I'm glad that at 98 and a half, you finally realized it. Somebody asked, what do you think about the White Sox win against the Mariners? It's very frustrating and it's pointless. Every White Sox win is pointless. I want all-time record losses. I want full-on embarrassment. I want humiliation for everybody involved. I want everybody's name to take a hit. It does me no good when you're going to lose 120 or 30 games or whatever for you to win one random game in June. I would much prefer the White Sox lose every single game the rest of the year. If we're doing this and you're already going to be the worst team, don't soften the blow. I literally root against them just to prove the point and be humiliating enough they're forced to make some changes. So I root against the team I love. That's where my baseball situation's at. Awesome. Love it. Eric's saying from the Ohio podcast that there's an article about Urban Meyer trying to pay receivers when he was at Notre Dame. When was that? 92. What year was Urban there? What years was that? And he's saying there's some article coming out that they found out Urban's trying to pay people to come to Notre Dame or whatever. Can I get some of that now? Doesn't do me any good in 1992 or whatever it is. Can I get some of that? Can I get some of that now? I don't know what I'm supposed to say about it 20 years ago. Can I get some of that now? Be a really good time for me to get some of that action now. All right, let's get into this. Now this recruiting thing, it's all got me on edge. Now I'm all twisted up. I don't know what you want me to say, but when I heard that, I didn't see the article. But when Eric wrote that in, my first thought was sarcastically like, yeah, can I get some of that now? It doesn't do me any good to hear that we tried to do it 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I need it now. Whoever that donor was, call him up again on the speed hotline. Whoever that donor was that Urban was wheeling and dealing with back in 93 or whatever it is, somebody call me. Let's hook it up. 312-900-8815. Call Johnny and donate all that money to the Irish team. Here's the thing, you guys. I'm going to lose my mind over the Notre Dame recruiting thing. It's going to be the end of me. The on-field stuff's rough enough, but at least there's limits to that where it's only 12 times a year. This recruiting stuff's going to kill me. It's year-round. It's every single day. For no reason, literally for no reason, it's just a clickbait factory. The entire recruiting industry is a clickbait factory. Anything you put out or anything a random blogger that gets paid $5 a month on some back page to write about whatever, anything they put out hits like a ton of bricks and gets a ton of reaction on Facebook and on Twitter and whatever. You guys, I spent all of my 20s wasting my time worrying about Notre Dame football and the recruiting And it's like, oh, John, do you want to go out and go find some ladies and go like to a party? No, I'm going to refresh the internet on the one recruiting site there is, seeing if there's an update on Notre Dame getting Eddie Vanderdoes. Get a life, you loser. Get a life, you loser, is what I would tell myself now. But that's how John spent a lot of his 20s, sitting there refreshing on the one Notre Dame blog that updated recruiting. Oh my God, I hope we get this guy. Where does it ever get me? Where does it ever get me? Other than a reduction in my hairline and a raise in my blood pressure. Like, I'm just telling you guys, I can't do it. Like, I can't do that anymore near 40 like I did in my 20s. I cannot be one of those guys doing the recruiting every single day. Oh my gosh, this and that. And I heard this, and this guy's doing that, and this guy wants this, and this guy's entourage is playing this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I know it gets clicks. It's good for YouTube and Twitter. I'm not doing it. I got to protect my mental health to some level, and that's where I'm drawing the line. Like I do, I cover it enough, but I can't cover it the way I did in my 20s. Like I will absolutely lose my mind. Like it will not be good for me mentally. Like I can't get into it to that level to be like, what is the latest rumor from a 16-year-old kid and his uncle? I can't go to that level now. I just can't do it. I can't do it. It almost gives legitimacy to all those games being played or whatever. And maybe that's just the new way this goes, but it's enough to drive me nuts. But especially when we were talking about the early chats were about the recruiting and everything that's going on or whatever, 618, you'll be first up and whatever it is. So we're already talking about Notre Dame maybe losing some of their recruit, whatever's going to happen. And then I see that thing about Urban offering guys money. I'm like, bro, can a brother get some of that 25 years later? Good for him for trying. And by the way, is anyone surprised at all? Here's the funny part. Is anyone surprised at all if you were going to hear anybody on the Notre Dame staff? Pat, what's going on, buddy? Good luck in the golf. Let me know if I could caddy for you again in August. That was fun for me. I like that. Caddying is awesome. It triggers a whole different part of your golf brain when you don't have to hit it and you could just help somebody. I really like that. I'm dead serious. It is very fulfilling in my golf soul to caddy for Pat. And I know his game and I know how he thinks and I know what we're trying to do. It's really fun. I love caddying. It's great. Things were a lot cheaper in 99. Bro, all this stuff it's getting to me. It's getting to me. And you get it. We need to pull out some of these wins. And there's a lot of meat on the bone. So let's get into it. Let's do a couple of the super chats, get through my main points on this. And then we'll go. I'm going to have to end a little early. Some of you know I'm going to Notre Dame. So as soon as I'm saying I'm losing my mind worried about Notre Dame, whatever, the second this show ends, I'm going to spiff up and head on the toll road and go to Notre Dame. So there ain't no getting away from it. There ain't no getting away from it, man. Here we are. So as soon as we're done here, I'm going to end a little early. I got to dress up a little bit at least, head over there. See Jack Sacco giving his keynote speech address here, be on my best behavior. Okay, but I'm sorry that the Urban Meyer thing got me. It's like, bro, I need some of that now. It doesn't do me any good back then. But if there's one coach that as an assistant or a head coach, if there's one guy in the whole history of Notre Dame where you were like, what would your reaction be if I told you this guy tried to pull some stuff like this? He would be the one. Like, there is nobody else that's even in the picture, bro. There is not even anybody else that's in the picture. If you were like, John, I'm going to tell you, Notre Dame had an assistant who tried to do this. Who would it be? There is no number 2. Like, it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense. Adam says the campus police are waiting for you. I bet they are. I bet they are. Just wait till I try and tailgate outside Jack's event. It's just me in the parking lot with the Miller Lite. Like, oh, I thought this was a tailgate event. What are you doing? Every time I go there, we tailgate. What is this crap? Oh, my God. All right, let's do some super chats. And then I got to go over a couple of these messages you guys put that are right on my brain. Number 1, really pretty solid message by the commander here. $5 holler. Happy Father's Day to everybody. I know for a lot of us, that's relationship with your dad, your grandpa, whatever. That's the case for me. So, yeah, God bless all the good dads out there. World needs more of them. So a good message by the commander. $20 holler from the rotate. Good to see you. People getting real excited for ND recruiting. I bet over half of these guys drop in the rankings or lose a star before signing day because they committed to ND, or the narrative will be they're not as good as you think. You know, man, Goolsby was talking to me about this. You got to understand how different recruiting was when he was being recruited to now. But even back then, Tom Lemming, old G in this industry. Tom Lemming was telling Goolsby, even if you're going to Notre Dame, don't make it public. You're going to drop in the rankings and nobody's going to talk about you and there's no drama. It does you no benefit to publicly commit to Notre Dame and shut it all down now. The recruiting industry kind of forgets about you and then you're not as, whatever. And that was how that game was played, in early 2000-ish? And that's how it was even then. He was like, dude, if you're going to get off the radar, if there's not a bunch of drama where Goolsby's going and there's all these hot teams in the mix, you're going to drop off the radar. So you want to string this baby out, all these games, and now all the money. Ooh, baby. It's just rough times, man. $5 outlet from the Irish Steel. ND needs to pummel A&M. Go 11-1 to grab that 5 spot in a playoff home game. No excuses left for Freeman to lay eggs at home or on the road. I'm with you on that. All right, let's get through the introduction. And then I really, seriously have got to address some of these not the super chats, some of the regular chats. They are literally reading my brain from a phone conversation. I feel like you guys tap my lines because it's exactly the worries and the concerns and the high and everything it's exactly what was in my brain and it's freaking me out. And we need to go over some of it because some of it is good, fair questions. That we need to do. So obviously, thanks for being here. You can find the program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Yanni out as well. Notifications on that way you alerted every time a new episode drops. I know you don't want to miss it. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it. If you don't want to see Johnny's face, nobody's going to blame you for that one. Sorry for the people on campus today because I'm coming in hot. USA Today, you can read all about it. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. It's the former captain. He's the leading tackler. It's Mike Goolsby and myself breaking it all down. Look at this, Nick Dean. Hey, John, keep your pinky out when you're sipping your wine, bro. Yeah, you know me. I'm going to sit there with some cheese on a platter, and I'm going to cut it up and put it on a Triscuit. And then I'm going to sip my wine, and I'm going to talk about when I was in law school here in 1977. Oh, boy. Ugh, it's rough out here in these Notre Dame streets. All right, here's where I'm going to start. Recruiting. recruiting. It's flooding my brain. It's flooding my mind. It's not only finishing out the class with momentum on an upswing. It's about holding what you have. There is nothing more frustrating in Notre Dame recruiting than landing good guys. You count them in the fold for like a year and then you don't get them. It just makes you ponder your life and wonder, are you wasting it? Like, I'm just shooting you straight out feels. When you have a recruit in the fold for like a year and then you don't land, it just makes you wonder. It's an existential worry. You're like, what is all this for? Why are we even bothering? Like, what is this all for? Like, why are we doing this? If it putting in all this work and all this worry and all this effort, if it isn't getting anywhere, what are we doing? Jay Carr says you can't make fun of the wine and cheesers when you're at the event with them. You know, that is kind of funny because I'm like that guy that's like against the wine and cheese. And then the other day we're over there steaming my green summer lightwear sport jacket blazer to make sure it looks good. I guess, but I ain't drinking no wine. I ain't drinking no wine. Which date's more important, John? August 31st or December 4th? I mean, here's the other thing. Is there anything you can do in this season that's going to change the outcome of those recruiting battles? That's a very, very good point, Dr. John. You get a little momentum. You win a big game in front of the world, all that kind of stuff. I mean, obviously, there's different priority. The game is always going to be a bigger deal because that's what this is all about. But we would be foolish to not admit it is a chicken and the egg. You need to win your big games, and it takes really good guys to win the biggest games. Which comes first? You end up bumping your head up against a wall. It's all a big chicken and the egg. How does Notre Dame really land the elite guy? Maybe if you won a few big games, you would pick them up. Well, yeah, and how do you win big games? Having good players. It is always a big chicken in the egg, which comes first. Oh, well, if we wanted more big games, we'd have more elite play. How do you win the big games? You got to have really good players. So recruiting has been on my mind this week. All the drama, all the rumors, all the text messages, all the board posts, just all of it. And it's a lot to think about. It's a lot to think about. Hold and close. Hold and close. Hold and close. I cannot see any scenario where you're able to lose Taylor and Deuce and anybody feels good about the recruiting class. It's just not going to be, it's not possible. It's just not possible, you guys. You can't do it. It's not going to work. Now, you're going to have all these other really solid, good football players in that class. But if you lose one or both of those guys, the sad part is all those other good guys, it's all going to be shaded negative, and that's the most unfortunate part. If this happens and you lose one or both, it's really sad for all those other good players in that class because it's just nobody's going to feel good about the class because you're losing your best guys. It's just the reality. It's just the reality of it. Somebody asked me, who was it? SPF, the LSU guy. It was a genuine question. He asked, what recruits is Notre Dame looking at finishing with? And then, and what transfer is going to make a big impact? I think Oben's probably going to be the most consistent impact guy starting on the D line from Duke. RJ Oben, I believe it is. I expect him to be a main guy. And then I don't know what to expect from the FIU receiver coming in. I don't know whether that's like an every down thing or if it's a package situation. I don't know. But that Oben is going to be he's going to be a mainstay there on that D line. So that would be my answer to that one. As far as closing on these other recruits, hold Taylor and Deuce. I want Elijah. I want the IMG defensive lineman from Florida that we've been flirting with, and that it sounds pretty good. I want that guy. I want Owusu Boateng and Faremo. I don't need one or the other. I want both. I don't want one or the other. I want both. I want KVA. I want Faremo. I want Boateng. I want those guys. Those are dudes. Jadon Blair. I want that. I want Meadows' size. And then I need another guy on top of that in the wide receiver situation. That's what I'm looking at. You add 5 or 6 more 4-star plus talents in this class, and you hold on to what you have. Now you're cooking. Now you're cooking. Mark with glasses. That's my nickname. It's the Wu-Tang Boateng, baby, for the kids. And so that's what I need to happen. All of those guys I mentioned, Notre Dame's fully in the mix for. I understand that to be the case. I need you to land them. And you need to finish this class on an upswing, not a downswing. An upswing, not a downswing. I've talked about this all the time. Way too many years in a recruiting class. You got a handful of spots left. No one good on your board is even interested in Notre Dame. And then before you know it, you end up with like 3 guys that look like me, and then like one dude that it's just you end up filling spots for filling spots' sake, not with really good guys. Not with really good guys. And that's the problem we had is a lot of those past recruiting classes, at the end, we limp to the end instead of finishing strong. Do you see what a big difference that is in the momentum of the entire operation? The difference between we have 4 or 5 spots and each guy you gain makes your rating go down because they're so off the chart and the rating's low that it weighs the whole class down, but then you fill it out. But your last quarter of the class is me. Like, no. So that's what I need. I really need you to finish on the high end here. I can see the vision of what they're trying to do. It's just a matter of getting it all to come together. Getting it all to come together. And again, and the most frustrating part is you guys are talking about how frustrating it would be. Like, even if you finish strong on a few of these 4-star plus type guys, if you're losing your top end guys, where does it get you? You're running in place. You're running in place. And it just can't be that way anymore. It just can't be that way anymore. Somebody said, was it Andrews said, is there any other Notre Dame alumni that have kids that we haven't gone to? And again, here's the other thing. I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I have not gotten any messages yet from any of the recruiting people that I talk to or anybody in the know that says, you know, you're going to lose Deuce for sure. You're going to lose Taylor for sure, whatever. I have not gotten those messages. There's just a lot of Notre Dame recruiting scar tissue. There's a lot of scar tissue when it comes to when there's smoke. Usually Notre Dame loses and they emerge from the house literally on fire, like the meme of the guy walking on fire down the road. That's the issue with Notre Dame fans. When you start hearing that smoke, usually Notre Dame ends up at the altar with the smile on their face, holding out a ring or whatever, and there's nobody there to give it to. I just can't. There's a lot of it, man. Scar tissue that I wish you saw. I wish these 5 stars would come play Notre Dame ball. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. John's just one giant piece of inflamed scar tissue. Yeah, that's a good way to describe my body. Oh, all I'm sorry, did we miss something? Why are we talking about losing Deuce? Because it's what everybody's talking about. And Taylor, too. So it's just... Here's the other part, too. Jay Lehman, congratulations to the wife. I saw that you said she is retiring. Good for her, man. Go out for a good meal, do some fun, and go enjoy your time with her, man. Jay Carr, Deuce anxiety, drink Pepto. There's a commercial in there somewhere for me. I really do. I think there is. Here's the deal with, like, I don't understand this. Tom Loy puts out his little video, his tweet. Everybody reacts to it. 618, I got you coming up. Tom Loy puts out the tweet. Oh, there's heat with Ole Miss pushing for Deuce and Notre Dame's going to have to hold on and whatever. Then there's a big reaction to that from the Notre Dame contingent. Then Tom Loy does like a 247 video or whatever. I saw it on Twitter. And he's saying, you know, Ole Miss isn't going to give up. He's the number one priority, in-state kid, typical SEC quarterback, all that stuff. He's never going to stop. You know, Ole Miss isn't going to stop. They're throwing everything at him. My reaction to that is, none of that's new news. You following me? None of that is new news. That's where I've been in my brain struggling with this, you guys. That's where I've been struggling with this, because that got a huge reaction when Loy put that tweet out and did the little video. People were sending it to me. Like, it turned into, you know how things are in Notre Dame land, man. It really got running. But it's not breaking news that Lane Kiffin isn't going to stop recruiting an athletic kid like Deuce Knight from right down the road that would be a perfect fit for his SEC offense and what he wants to do. None of that's news. Are you understanding what I'm saying? If the tweet was, Deuce Knight is pulling back his commitment to Notre Dame and he's going to reevaluate and he's open to everything else and he's no longer in the Notre Dame class, that's breaking news. That's breaking news. But when you're doing a tweet and a video and your point is the in-state SEC school that wants him is continuing to recruit him because he's a good player, that's not news, but it's getting treated like news. None of that was news. Andrew, I am the first one. You will not find anyone in the Notre Dame niche that came up with that before I did. And then everybody stole it. And then somebody made a t-shirt off it and I sent him a cease and desist off my IP. So good morning, John. About to drive past Guaranteed Rate Field on my way to Wrigley. You got anything you want me to stop and tell? Can you throw something out of your car at the building when I? Do that. Going to Wrigley. Geez, they're playing like crap these days too. Telling you, they're playing bad too, man. So, I don't know. And then Taylor, let's address this. I'll go to the calls, then I'll come back to the chats. With Taylor, here's the issue. The issue is everybody needs to remember the G-Bank, you're right. I avoid it. I avoid going into downtown in the city, anywhere. I avoid it anytime I can. It ain't even worth it. I'm not going to a concert at Wrigley. Like, I'll lose my mind just trying to drive in there and park somewhere. It's not worth it. All the fun in the world. You could bring John Lennon back from the dead and have Stevie Ray Vaughan on guitar, and I won't go because I'm not driving in there and trying to deal with Chicago traffic and parking and doing all that. I'm not doing it. I'm too old. I don't have the patience. There's nothing I'm going to that would ever be worth me doing that. No way. I don't have it. Everybody values their time differently. I'm not sitting in traffic trying to park somewhere around Wrigley. I'm not doing it. I'm so past it. I'm not doing it. I used to just be able to take the L and it would drop me off at the red line stop and I could go drink and then get on the L and it'd bring me home. I'm not doing that driving stuff. Somebody I think offered us tickets, Cubs Cardinals on Father's Day or whatever in like 12th row, I think. And I'm not trying to be rude, not interested. I'm not a Cubs fan, so that's number one reason I'm not interested. Number two is even the philosophical concept of me driving into downtown Chicago on Father's Day weekend when the weather's warm and nice, that alone, the thought of that just aged me 5 years. Dude, the thought of the stress of me driving up into the northern part of the city on Father's Day weekend in Chicago, the thought of what that would be like aged me 5 years. I can't handle it. It's just not worth it. I can't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. I mean, I knew the Sox were going to be bad. I'm a little surprised the Cubs are not a little better than they are. They almost have a similar record in the last like month and a half as the Sox do. They should be way better than that. Here's the deal with John Ages and Doggy. I certainly do. Every one takes 7 off my life. Angela, what's up? It's good to see you here. Yeah, right, John. You're always in the city for a high-end shopping and dinners with the wine and cheesers. You guys, what if I have a second life? Like, what if I do this whole, like, I'm going to be drinking Miller Lite in the parking lot or whatever, but like behind the scenes, I have this second life where I'm wearing like skinny dress pants around town and like those loafers with no socks. You know what I'm saying? You know them rich dudes whose dads are lawyers because they're all wearing those brown slip-ons with no socks around the city. Oh, look at me. My greasy hoof is in this leather slip-on. Ooh, and I got money. No. With a monocle, yeah. Excuse me. What type of cheese goes with this Triscuit? Which wine do I pair with my mussels I'm having for dinner? Unbelievable. Let me get back to this. Here's the problem with Taylor. You tell me who you're going to blame. You tell me who we're going to blame for this. Taylor. Excuse me, do you have any gray poop on? Well, when I poop on, it's usually brown and not gray, mate. All right. Finally, I'm going to get to this Taylor thing. Who do you blame for this dynamic? Everybody needs to recognize and remember the main guy recruiting Taylor that he built that great Notre Dame relationship now works for Harbaugh in California. I understand he didn't like that. The guy he was closest to, it's O'Leary. Not the one who lied on his resume, different O'Leary. Look at this. We got all sorts of Notre Dame 90s type problems or 2000, whatever year it was. Urban Meyer was trying to buy guys and O'Leary lied on his resume. Notre Dame's falling apart. So then O'Leary leaves, and that was like his best relationship with Notre Dame that he had. And I understand that kind of caused some uncertainty or just a little bit of uncomfortable feeling because he lost his guy. Who do you blame for that? Like, who do you blame for that? But like, I get that you're going to say, and I could already knew Andrew's going to type in cover for Freeman. But are we totally... We're not going to acknowledge that's like nobody's fault. I don't blame the kid for feeling uncomfortable not having the main guy he built a multi-year relationship with around. I can't really blame Freeman that O'Leary got promoted to the NFL or wanted to go to the NFL. I guess you could say it's Freeman's responsibility to overcome all that. And there's a reason that Freeman said, I'm the main recruiter on everybody. Maybe that's got to be the protection against that then, is that he has that relationship to that level with those guys, that isn't as big of a deal if it happens. But I can't blame the kid for not liking losing the guy that he built that relationship with and is most comfortable with. And I don't blame O'Leary for taking an NFL job if he wants to and going to the big leagues. That's not a negative for his career. So I guess you got to just say, I need Freeman's bond and relationship building to overcome that. It's so frustrating. It's just so frustrating. So that's the part of the Taylor thing that sucks. But I'm telling you, when you log into 247, he is Notre Dame's #1 highest rated guy. You can't lose him. You can't lose him. And the thing is, if you lose him to Alabama, it's just like, woof. Like, how much talent over the years do they need? Can we just get a couple, right? I guess Freeman was BSing when he said he's a lead recruiter on everyone. I mean, I guess you got to hold on. You can't lose the top guy in your class and then feel good about the class. It's just not physically going to happen. So nothing's over, but there's anxiety, man. It would be a lot better if there were no articles and nobody was talking about the rumors and whatever. And then when you want to talk about the Deuce situation, he's so far out of the normal spectrum of Notre Dame players and quarterbacks we go after. Deuce is such an outlier in all those ways. I think that's why a lot of people feel like the odds are it ain't going to go in Notre Dame's favor, because he's so far off the normal spreadsheet grid of typical Notre Dame, got so far out of that I just think people are figuring it's not a natural Notre Dame fit. They don't have a history of pulling that off well enough appropriately to trust it. And so that's what people are figuring. And Lane Kiffin, they're not giving up. And so I don't know what's going to happen. And so I'm going to go to the calls. Then I'm going to get into some of the other chats that we went. I want to go over that are related to all this. Chief, $10 holler. You need to have an X factor about your program to win those first few big games. That might be an elite system, elite QB, elite coaching, elite culture. Then recruiting catches up later. I feel you on that. That's another thing. You guys are good. That's another thing that I was talking about on the phone last night with somebody was, I just feel like Notre Dame's a player or two, making a player or two away from winning some of those big game matchups and changing everything. And then recruiting gets a boost from all that. Like, how many times have I felt like if Notre Dame just had one or two more guys that could make one or two more plays, it would be a different situation. But again, you get into the chicken and the egg. You want to win the biggest games, it usually takes the best players. You want to get the best players, you got to win your big games, and that's where they want to go. You got to break that cycle of yin and yang. You got to break that cycle somehow. Find a way to win the big games, even when your roster isn't perfect, and then more guys are appealing to more guys or something. It's always a chicken in the egg with this discussion. You know what? At help recruiting is beating Georgia and beating Ohio State. Yeah, no shit. Duh. How do you do that? Having good players. Like, nothing's as simple as it seems when you tweet it. Oh, you know what would help Notre Dame have a top 5 class? If we won playoff games. Yeah, no kidding, genius. You need good players to do that. Not only do you need good players, you need some elite ones. You need some when the lights shine the brightest, they play their best. That's what you need. When the lights shine the brightest, you get those guys best. That's what I need. Dale, $5 holler. I don't know if that's your real last name or if that's a nickname. Dale Hayden. I love that. You know how much fun I could have with that name? I don't like him. I'm Dale Hayden. $5 holler. If you want to be a recruiting big dog, you'll have this. We're in the tall grass where the big dogs piss. Keep dudes. We're okay. And that is a complicated discussion that we're going to come back to after the phone calls from the early chats. Andrew, some of yours, there's some nuance in there we got to hit. Oh, my main man, Martinez, $10 holler from out west. No wine and cheesers, no skinny jeans, only blue-collar alphas, Johnny. We are indeed. The funny thing is, I really did plan out and coordinate a really classy outfit for this event tonight. You and I both know you watch. It's going to be so hot. I'm going to be dripping in sweat. I'm going to have swamp ass in my pants. Like, it's going to be the whole thing. Right when Johnny cleans up, it's going to be like not work. And I'm mess dripping. I already sweat a lot. For a skinny dude, I'm a sweaty dude. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know. Did John's personal stylist plan the outfit? Yeah, you know how it is around here. This is a major operation. When I go on the road, I have to have my publicist and my stylist make sure that I portray the right message for our brand when we go on the road. You're exactly right. How'd you know? 618-419. Then we're going to go back to this. I'm just telling you, I have anxiety. Dr. John's got a tea time. See ya, brother. Shoot him straight and not a lot. Good luck. Speaking of which, what's going on in the U.S. Open? Somebody let me know. Anybody making a move? I saw Rory dropped a couple shots early. What's the deal at the U.S. Open? By the way, those greens, oh my word. Oh my word, those greens at the U.S. Open are it's like an 8-foot square around the hole. And if you don't land it right on it with spin, you're done. It's unbelievable. And if you get off the fairway and you can't control your spin, you're screwed. It is tough. You got literally like a 6-foot radius around those pins you got to land it in or you're done for. It's unbelievable. But that's what the U.S. Open is. Tough. That's how I want it. It should be. John wears clip-on ties. I ain't doing a tie. This isn't a tie style event. Business casual more like, but I ain't wearing a tie. It's too hot for that. I can't do that. I'm wound tight about this recruiting. I just am. I'm a worrier by nature. I've seen it play out too many times. Chief, you're on it. Chief nailed it. That's what I'm shooting for. We'll see how hot it is. 618, what's going on in the morning?
What's going on, my man? Man, this recruiting thing, man. I mean, I don't know what to say about the Taylor situation, man. Deuce, I'm confident in, but Taylor, I'm less confident in him, man. I've got a feeling that he decommitted and they just ain't went public with it yet.
Oh, I don't like it, man. And I don't know how you fix it either. How do you fix this problem?
You got to stop trying to build your class early, man, and do like everybody. Way to say, hey, I said, let's pick from Notre Dame. They got the best players that committed right now, and now we need to pick and punch from them.
Yeah, Man, it's so frustrating. It's just so frustrating to feel like you're in a good position and then have it kind of creep away from you late. I mean, dude, I got people going. I almost wish Notre Dame's guys weren't so highly recruited because then all the other teams come for them. Like, this isn't the way it should be.
And I don't understand like how Notre Dame recruit, because everybody coming after your best that you getting committed. You're not going after their best and trying to get them to flip.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. And then, okay, so it makes me wonder if maybe this is an answer to that. Really good point. Maybe the answer to that is Notre Dame's already got a smaller pool of guys they can approach anyways because of all the Notre Dame stuff we always talk about. So maybe they don't have as big of a range of a net of a pool to be able to go try and get other guys because they're on a short, I don't know who they could go after is a smaller list. I don't know.
Yeah, you make a small list of guys who's 4 or 5 star players. You go after them. You know what I'm saying? You go after them early. And if you lose out on one, you keep recruiting them. Like, because Alabama's not going to quit recruiting. They're not. Even if Taylor say, hey, after this weekend, I'm recommitted. This is where I want to be. Alabama, Ole Miss, none of them schools are going to quit recruiting until he signs.
Yeah.
The signing period. And that's how you got to recruit.
Yeah. And, you know, here's something else. I'm going to ask you this. Maybe you have an opinion on it. I think if Notre Dame wants to get serious about landing some of these top end guys, I think they're going to have to get over their little unspoken policy of not wanting to do a lot of NIL for freshmen. I think you might have to you may have to get over yourself and pony out some of that money. And you could put it up front, but you can make contingencies on it for things they need to do. But I think you might have to get over yourself and start saying, if we want these best guys right out of high school, you're going to have to guarantee them some money right away, not in a year or two. You might just have to do it like everybody else.
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, you're going to have to. I mean, you're ponying up money for quarterbacks that don't pan out. You know, I'm not saying that Leonard is not going to pan out. We gave Hartman all that money, and what did that get us?
Yeah.
So 9-3.
Yeah. Somebody's saying Taylor's on campus this week. And listen, I'm not saying any of this is a done deal and Notre Dame's whole class is unraveling. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying for somebody like me who's wound tight about this kind of stuff, I'm not going to relax or sleep easy again until this is all done.
Yeah, and I don't think Deuce is going anywhere, man. Deuce is still recruiting in the class. Deuce ain't going nowhere.
Again, though, here's my problem with that. The problem with it is nothing that's come out is news. Tom Loy saying Ole Miss really wants him and they're not stopping. That's not news. It's so frustrating, though, because the whole Notre Dame world lights on fire, and then I end up putting Tinder on it by my personality just naturally talking about it. Yeah, but it's not news to say that Ole Miss doesn't want to lose this kind of athlete in this state. That's not news to say that they're never going to stop recruiting him. None of that's breaking news to me, but it's like the end of the world that he's doing what he should do. Throw everything you can to keep the in-state guy that's a prototypical SEC quarterback in your backyard. Lane Kiffin doesn't want to lose this guy to Notre Dame. That's the other thing. We talk about all the pressure on Notre Dame. What about the pressure on Lane Kiffin not to let a kid like this in your backyard go to Notre Dame? Of course he's throwing everything at the guy. But it's not news. But here I am. My blood pressure's through the roof over it.
Especially with Mississippi State having the other rivals 150 quarterback in the state. They gotta pony up and try to get the best quarterback in the state. But I don't think in the end, I think Deuce signed with Notre Dame. You haven't seen him. He haven't made official that he gonna make no visits. You ain't heard nothing come out that he gonna visit Ole Miss or any of that, man. So I'm more confident in him. Taylor, it's a 50-50 chance that he signed with Notre Dame. I think he do sign with Notre Dame because if it was Saban at Alabama, I would be like, man, he's about to flip. You know.
Yeah, man, it's interesting. And now people are saying in the chat, oh, Tom Lloyd, 247 and he's a clickbait or whatever. Don't listen to him. The issue is you could not listen to him. But Mike, I'm assuming that's you, Mike. Good. Thanks for popping in over at Blue and Gold there. Good to see you, man. You got to see me raise my blood pressure a little bit. Now you could go on with your day and go have a good day. But dude, people are saying you got to let it go or whatever. Like it's just clickbait. I'm not in the position to be able to not address it when 50 people email me the link to the article and text me and say what's happening. There's no way for me to avoid it. But when I start talking about it, then I get mad about it.
Yeah, I think even if he drops out the class, you still got Blair, you still got Joseph. I mean, I think Joseph was really listening to Notre Dame because I think he one of the ones that they said, hey, let's see how this Ivan Taylor thing play out.
Yeah.
Don't commit yet. We're going to push really hard if we fall off the class.
But, man, can't you see a scenario where Freeman holds this all together and then they get like 4 more 4-star guys and then this all trends up? Like I could really see the path to keeping the band together and then getting almost a handful of another 4-star guys. And this class is the best one we've had in a really long time. That is totally on the table to me. That is totally on the table to me. Keeping the band together, adding these really solid guys on the back end, and then you're right where you want to be then. But like it's just a matter of I've seen these scenarios go against us so many times. A lot of Notre Dame fans are saying, I'll believe it when I see it and the signing day and the fax is in. I'm going back to the 90s. The fax is in, baby. We're faxing it through. Beep, 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 beep. Here we go. Oh, we got this kid.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I just think like, man, we're recruiting, man, we just got to remember these 17, 18-year-old kids, man, they making all these visits. And, you got everybody under the sun, like promising them things. Oh, you're going to start year one. Oh, we're going to give you $3-4 million if you just come here and say, forget Notre Dame. You're going to have that. But I think in the end,
yeah, it's.
I think in the end, Deuce wound up signing with Notre Dame, and like I said, 50-50 on Taylor because it's the summertime. But I think Notre Dame really got the leverage with Taylor. With you got Blair and Joseph on there. Blair might commit to Notre Dame July 5th, and then you got Joseph, who's probably listening to the staff like, look, I'm ready to commit to y'all, but, man, I'm going to do what y'all say do. We're going to let this play out. Yeah. Hopefully fall off the class so I go ahead and commit.
Yeah, man, I don't know. This is going to be interesting, and it's going to be stressful. Anything else, my man? I want to breeze through a few more calls because I got to leave early. Anything else?
Oh, that's it, my man.
Hey, thank you so much for always calling, and we'll see what happens. Have a good weekend, man. Happy Father's Day to you, okay?
Same to you, man.
Take care. Have a good one. Thank you. Here, this is something else I yell about in my life all the time. In football and life. Here's my reaction to this. D-Rock says, you can't get worked up over something you can't control. You know what my response to that is in life and football? Those are the exact things that I worry about. Why would I worry about stuff that I can control? If I don't like what it's doing, I'll change it. I've never understood that when people are like, don't worry about stuff beyond that you can't change. That's the exact stuff you should worry about because there's nothing you can do about it. I don't even understand what that means. Why would I worry about something I can control? Why would you worry about it instead of just changing it? You should. That's why I worry about stuff beyond my control because there's nothing I can do about it. Duh. I've never understood that. Don't worry about things beyond your control. So you want me to worry about things within my control? That's stupid. I would just change them. The energy I'm worrying about, I would focus into changing it. There's no need to worry about stuff I can change. It's all the stuff that I know needs to happen the way I want it to happen, and I can't make it happen that I worry about. Don't worry about stuff you have no control. Are you out of your mind? That's the exact stuff you should worry about. Oh. 419, you're up on the line.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? I haven't called in for a while.
My blood pressure's going up.
Yeah, you've been having such good callers, and we got a new puppy over here, and I'll never do this again because it's so time consuming. And then, anyways, that last call had some of my points, but I wanted to comment on that doubting Denbrock video, and just remind everybody, it feels like in years past, we would have just, see what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I can hear that.
We would have left well enough alone with the offense last year, 10-win season and statistically, good offense. And I feel like Freeman this whole time, he hasn't got the results, but I feel like he's swinging for the fences with the moves he makes. And, that's all the more reason to be optimistic. And it just feels like the expectations higher within the program and kind of with all of us because of that.
Yeah. Man, it's really interesting, Mark. Like, I think Andrew put in the chat before we went live, something like, maybe Kelly was a realist that got it through his brain doing these high profile things at that level with a guy like Deuce or whatever, like you're going to get burned in the end and it isn't worth your resources. And he accepted we're shopping down a different aisle rather than waste his time, like going for the big fish you're ultimately not going to land or whatever. The problem with that is if you accept that, why am I here and why am I doing this show? Because that means you're doing RKGs. You're going to have guys like me on the team that want to be there, but they're not elite enough to win anything. And we did that for over a decade with Kelly and didn't get over the hump. And you saw we needed more talent we didn't have. So that it makes me like, are you just helpless then? You're just helpless. You have no access to higher end talent and you're going to do RKGs and hope one year they all play like their best. Like, I can't, you're giving up if you're doing that. You're giving up. You got to be willing to swing for the fences, but you also got to land some of them at some point.
Right. I think he's done that with the quarterbacks, trying to figure it out. And now with the, with the Parker situation, it just feels like before we would have had to wait out multiple years because Kelly would have explained it away, pointed to this stat, and then we would have suffered through it and we would have known what the ceiling was. And it's like that, Freeman doesn't need this huge body of work to know it's not working when we all knew it, damn near the Ohio State game. So.
Yeah. And then, Mark, tell me if this makes sense to you at all. The other part of it with Deuce specifically is it isn't just him and what he individually brings and can change being an outlier of what Notre Dame's had at quarterback physically as far as gifts. For me, it's also a perceptual thing showing, oh, wow, Notre Dame can recruit that kind of kid from that part of the country. That carries weight. That makes people look at you and think about you differently. That is a big gate that opens other avenues and opportunity. it's a big representation of like a shift in what's possible for Notre Dame's talent acquisition operation. That's another reason it's a big deal. It isn't just about like his individual quarterbacking. It's about what that get would represent big picture. You got to pull it off, man. This cannot be Dante Moore until you ended up with less.
Yeah, that's why I feel like Deuce Knight is, one of the biggest, if not the biggest, recruit in Notre Dame's modern recent history, because of all things considered now with NIL, and it's just the competitive nature of everything. I just feel like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And his arms are, I just saw
he's
that.
Different. Yeah, isn't that funny? Is it calm down, Mark? Man. Calm down. You need to calm down, buddy. Take a chill pill, will you?
Yeah. His wingspan, he looks like freaking like Kevin Durant or something.
It's just different. It's different. Like the amount of space he covers when he like extends his arms, it's like 3 Drew Pines sewed together. Like this is just a whole different. It's a different world. It is a different world. It's called SEC talent world. It's way different, and you got to hold on to him.
It'll be interesting to see what he does this senior year, but I don't care. Even if he's like a project, like I'm excited to.
Oh, yeah. There's no. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. When you have a guy with those physical gifts, you roll the dice and you take the developmental, you do whatever you need to do, because if he gets it all right, it changes a lot of things. So I don't know, man, but I have this just like little burning anxiety from this whole dynamic. I can see the finish line of this class and what I want it to be and how good it would be. And I could also see the dominoes crumbling away from us. And we've just done that too many times.
Right. And then kind of in closing, like, I feel like our fan base, like, always needs reminded, like, if we're a good team, we shouldn't have to worry about some of these shittier teams. And I keep seeing, worried about, Georgia Tech or Purdue. And I feel like I'm worried about 2 or 3 games as it should be. And if we lose to A&M, that's a big red flag. We got problems. But, Denbrock, he's going to spread everything out, get everybody into space. And I expect to see, like a lot of
outer space. That'd be cool.
Outer space. And I think Love's maybe the most talented player we've ever had. And, we have speed. And I think if it shows, because before, when we had speed, you turn the game on and watch it, and you say, where the hell is everybody?
Yeah.
And if I feel like Denbrock's able to pull that off, maybe more of these recruits will take notice. And I don't know, like I said, I'm not going to waste my time worrying about these teams that we shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
And if we do, then that's a bigger problem.
Yeah. It's, you're right. I mean, you want to get to the point where some of those literally could be the business trips Kelly used to talk about that I got mad at. Some of those could be business trips when you're not going to build up an opponent that doesn't deserve it. That's where I understand the business trip thing, going in there nice and tidy and taking care of your day. But a lot of these other moments, you need to build them up and match the emotional moments, starting with week 1.
Yeah, and everyone's, building up Mike Elko to be this, Kirby Smart. The guy's barely done anything in 2 years. He beat the worst Clemson team in years, and then he's got a bunch of close losses, and he made Duke competitive. So all of a sudden, he's a world beater. But I'm not buying it.
We'll see.
And
we're going to get a good answer the next 2 years, Mark. We got one at their place to open this year and one at our place to open next year. You're going to find out the realities here. I'm really interested to see the jump in A&M, whatever they end up being this year from year 1 to year 2. That's going to tell me a lot.
Yeah, they'll be competitive, I'm sure, but like his body of work, like, you know, we got Notre Dame fans shaking in their boots for this guy. This guy's done nothing.
Man, don't you don't credit him for taking Duke from what, 3 wins to 9 or whatever his first year with no talent because it's Duke? Like, I mean, I got to give him some credit for that turnaround.
But I mean, look at his 2 years. You know, he's in that crappy ACC, and it's somewhat impressive. We shouldn't have to be worried about him, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, man,
I
hope you're right. But I worry about every opening game because you just don't know what you're going to get with week 1 randomness. There's always a percentage of built-in inherent randomness to any week 1. And that could work for you and it could work against you. A couple silly mistakes you would never make later in the year that you make week 1, and that's the difference. So I don't know, man. It's going to be wild.
And I'm not worried now, but come August, I'll have an upset stomach over the whole deal. But
I'm telling you, dude, I need a Pepto NIL deal. I keep that company in business. I talk about them all the time. Like I'm open with my problems. Like, seriously, where's my Pepto deal, man?
All right. Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Go take care of that dog. See ya.
All right. Bye.
Mark. Somebody said Mark needs to calm down. You're too excited, Mark. Calm down. Calm down. Oh, man. LOL, you thought you was going to be Marshall, Stanford, and Louisville. You thought damn wrong. Yeah, that's kind of like you thinking just because... That's like you, Kent, thinking just because you have a red jersey or whatever, you're going to roll the ball out there and beat Michigan every year. No, you did not. I liked it when it was automatic, though, damn it, for you guys. I liked it when it was automatic, Kent, and I could just pencil you in for making them upset. Those days are gone. See if I can get in a couple more calls. 720, what's going on?
Sean, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. I'm just having a little anxiety, I guess, with Notre Dame's recruiting because that's what that's just how I handle this stuff. I just have a little anxiety over it.
I get it. I just learned let those chips fall where they're gonna fall because kids are 18. They got dads and moms and agents in their ear, and who knows, right?
Yeah, but the problem with that, the problem with that is, let the chips fall where they may. You're doing whatever, but they always fall. They don't fall our way. That can't be forever. Like,
Well, we'll get it changed.
Something's got to change it at some point. Something's got to change it at some point.
Well, I think what's the stat? Like 90% of the kids are going to stay with their commitment. So you got at least a good shot of getting 90%, right? Here's 2 things, and I don't have much to say. One, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I don't think we can win a national championship till we join a conference. We need to play consistently ranked teams or decent programs, and we need home field advantage if you get into the playoffs, especially if let's say we do turn it around and we're number 1, and all of a sudden we have to go on the road because we got the 5th ranking or whatever. That's not. You want to play some of those home games, and the talent, we need to play to a higher level of talent to raise the players. You rise to the level you play a lot of times. And I'm sorry, like Northern Illinois doesn't do anything for me. Miami, Ohio, like Virginia, maybe. Like, what the heck are we doing? We have like 3 or 4 tough games, A&M, Purdue's up in the, probably not going to be that good. Louisville and Georgia Tech and Florida State, like, we got to play better teams in the regular season. Like, it just, that's the problem when we get against.
Now wait. This is a give and a take, because I understand what you're saying on one end, but then if you play a really tough schedule and then you lose a few games, then you're not going to even have a chance to be in the playoffs. So is there not a balance where you want to be tested, but you don't want to overdo it to where you grind yourself out? And then you're like, you feel like you're pretty good, but you're going to lose enough that you're not going to get where you want to be. Like, where's the balance of testing yourself, but making the schedule reasonable enough that you have little breathers in there and, you know what I mean, healing weeks to be able to get right? Like, there's got to be a balance.
I agree, but we have to. But that's why I think you get into a conference, right? And I was, you know, I was one of the traditionalists until they changed that rule. I totally liked our independence. I understood the history behind it, but now it's like, hey, it's changed, just like NIL. And unfortunately, I think it's time that Notre Dame changes with it. I mean, they're already playing an ACC basketball schedule and everything else. I don't understand what the deal is. You know, you could still get your non-conference USC, Michigan game in, and you would have those. You could join the ACC or Big 12, and you could still have a couple of lighter games, but you could still have some ranked opponents, or even, you know. But I understand what you're saying too. You don't want to beat yourself up by the end of the season.
So,
however, typically,
is this more about regular season testing yourself against other battle testing yourself against other teams? Is that more your angle, or is your angle more on the back end of you're not going to get a bye and Notre Dame's always got to play that extra game? Or is it both? Like, your angle of a preference for that is okay. Yeah. You get what I'm asking though, because those are different considerations, but they're connected, right?
Right. And here's just my experience, like, as a coach and as a player. And in my high school and college, we were in the two toughest conferences. In my high school, you win the conference or get top 3, you're probably going to at least the semis, right? College, it was the same thing. And then now as a coach, I'm on the opposite. We blew out our conference, and we get to the semifinals, and we get hit in the face by the first team 2 years in a row, and we get beat. You know, we get our first punch in the face, we lose to Roosevelt High School here in Colorado and Holy Family. And we were better, but we hadn't played anyone. And I've been on both sides of it now, and I'm like, yeah, you do have to be in a tough conference. And that's why, you know, you always have except last year, you always have an SEC team in the national championship or a Big Ten team, and it's, you know, I think Georgia would have beat Michigan last year. I think Alabama got really lucky in that game. And I think I'm also a component. I think I'm also a very strong run the ball first guy. And I think Michigan did it right. And I think Michigan's going to beat Ohio State again this year with all that glamour that often. But there's something about tough teams, man, and culture like that. And Notre Dame has it. The defense is nasty. I'm more worried right now, though, about Texas A&M. Elko's a coach, man. Do people forget what he did here? He took over a shit defense and made us amazing. Yeah. And then he went to Texas A&M, turned them around, Duke around. That guy's work.
Yeah, and if
we got a battle.
Man, I've said it before, I'll say it again. The best time to get a Mike Elko coach team is year 1, week 1, coming off of 30 transfers out and 28 in and all those changes. That's the easiest it's ever going to get.
Yes, 100% agree with you, man.
So it's a big moment. It's a big moment. And so I don't know, man. There's always a lot to ponder in Notre Dame land. On the field, off the field, there's a lot to consider, dude. It never ends. Does it? It never ends. Even in the summer, there's always meat on the bone. Never ends.
Yeah, no, I agree. And John, love the show, man. I'll let you go get on to some of these next callers, but I think we're going to be fine with the recruits. I do. I'm also worried. I will say this: Louisville. I'm more scared of Louisville than Florida State at this point.
Yeah, it's interesting. At least you got them both at home. And there really should be no. Louisville can't sneak up on you. Everybody should be so sick about what you allowed to happen at their place. And it's on Peacock. They don't even get it on regular TV. It's a day game. Like, I like the pettiness, I feel like. We're not letting you build this up. You're coming to our place. You got to win that one.
Yeah, yeah. And
Man.
what's funny, though, is they've always played Notre Dame tough.
Yeah.
There's like an unspoken rivalry there that people don't really talk about.
Yep. And it's dangerous. I think you'll agree with me. Here's what's dangerous about it. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but that game's always going to be a bigger deal to Louisville than Notre Dame. Do you get what I'm saying? And that, like, to beat Notre Dame would be a bigger deal than the way we all look at Louisville. That's just how it is. And that's always dangerous. Emotionally, that's dangerous. That's how I see it anyways.
It's 100%. So it's like here in Colorado, you have CU and CSU, and CU always looks at CSU like their little brother. But CSU, man, when they beat it, so Fort Collins goes crazy, man. But that's one game they circle, and it dictates CSU season. So if they beat CU, they're gonna win the whole game.
Yeah.
If they lose, whatever, CSU's trash. But no, that's the thing. Louisville looks at Notre Dame like their big brother, and Notre Dame's like, "Oh, that's cute, kid." And
you know who else? Purdue. I have that same concept in my mind with Purdue because they I just feel like it's like little old Purdue down the road and old West Lafayette to us. But to them, they're like pissed off that we get all the Indiana football attention and the smart school credibility goes to us and not their engineering. I feel that dynamic with Purdue too, where it's going to be bigger on their list than it is ours. If you rated games you care about the most, we're going to be higher in their list than ours. Anytime you have that imbalance, I get a little nervous.
100%. And it's funny because one of my neighbors went to Purdue, and I've known him since my parents' neighbors knew this guy since I was a kid, and he always hated that I was a Notre Dame fan, and he would try to talk me into becoming a Purdue fan. And I was like, "For what?"
Yeah, for what? Geez, well, maybe an epic drum solo. I can't think of any other reason. Dude, come on, bro. If you're not in $20K a year with an engineering degree, or you like banging a big drum, what is there for you, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I hope you guys do a great weekend, man. And
thank you.
I'll call in soon. Love the program, man.
I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, buddy. Have a good weekend. Thank you. All right, we'll breeze through a couple more calls real quick. I got to get out of here in 7 minutes, something like that. SPF, ND attracts trolls because they go out trolling others. Honestly, I talk shit about ND because ND fans are always picking. My whole life, I had no axe to grind with LSU at all. I had no reason to dislike LSU. I just didn't have that reason. But when Kelly left for there, and I said it was time, the relationship had soured. This is good for everybody. We need to part ways. We've done this a dozen years and gotten the same results and nothing's changing. This has gotten old for both parties. The LSU people refused to accept it. And they said I was crying. They said I was jealous. They stole my man, and that he's the best coach that's ever been, at Notre. And I'm making excuses because I'm so sad that they stole my best guy and all that. That is 100% incorrect. It's intellectually lazy. All those people that trolled me with those comments clearly did no research, or they would have seen years of my YouTube catalog of me saying this Kelly thing We keep doing the same thing every year and getting the same results, and it isn't good enough. What are we doing here? And then I lost a decade of my life doing that, running on that hamster wheel to nowhereville. And they just refused. They just absolutely refused to accept that was a possibility. It was all jealousy and that they stole my man. It's insulting to me because I have a public history of being ready to move on from Kelly way before he left to LSU. It has nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Whoever this ND football account is a really obvious troll. I don't know what's going on there, but every time they're in here, they have an ND logo, but they're saying way off the grid stuff. So that's a plant. I don't know who it is, but that's a plant. Sly Fox. I think that family still got a restraining order on me down in Florida at Disney World. That LSU family I talked to when I was there, and they literally looked like I was trying to steal their kids. I don't understand what I did. They don't know how to communicate in public. 260, what's going on? I got 5 or 6 minutes left. What's up?
John, if you refer back to my email that I sent to you on May 30th, it was in regards to recruiting. And then the last time we spoke, I wanted to talk to you off air about something that you weren't really going to like because you didn't kind of get back to me. It was about this. It was about Deuce Knight flipping. And the Taylor kid taking the official to Alabama. And one of the things people aren't going to look at with Ike Taylor's kid is he's from Baton Rouge, and LSU didn't recruit him, and he went to Louisiana Lafayette, and it lets him thumb his nose at the people of LSU that have no shot at getting his kid, a top player in the country, and sending him to Alabama. So that was another aspect of it, but I knew I had it on very good information. The person that I talked to said that they would put their house on that Deuce Knight was going to flip. That's what I was trying to get in contact with you for before you seen it on 247.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, man. I don't know. And I don't know what you do if you're Notre Dame. You don't want RKGs, but if you go for the top end guys, this is always a risk. What's the right answer then?
Well, the big thing that you have is that going down into SEC country, this is always a possibility. And the biggest red flag for me, what made me start making phone calls, is that all these kids down south in Florida, which I don't think all the Florida kids I think Dallas Golden's safe. But when Ike Taylor's kid committed right away and when Deuce Knight committed right away, this is all posturing when it comes to NIL. That's all this is, because they have leverage.
Yeah.
You can up the offer, and don't be shocked if he doesn't take periodic visits to Ole Miss throughout the year. And then because signing day is a wild card, Ohio State almost didn't get J.J. Smith. He took 1 million visits to Florida State almost every weekend. He was at Florida State. It's all posturing for NIL. That's all this is.
So how do you handle this if you're Notre Dame then? That's the tricky part. You don't want RKGs and Drew Pines to be your Notre Dame quarterback. But if you're going to go after the top guys and get left at the altar every time, where does that leave Notre Dame? How do you thread this needle and solve this problem? I don't have a good answer for that. And it's driving me nuts.
Well, you got to do a better job in your due diligence and not get played per se, because the biggest red flag for me is when Deuce Knight took an unofficial in April to Ole Miss. He took an unofficial visit in April there. After that, it's okay, he's going to go meet with the people at Ole Miss and say, this is what Notre Dame's offering. Can you match it? That's what this is.
But if you're Deuce Knight, you don't need to leverage Notre Dame to get that kind of situation. Deuce Knight does not have to leverage a Notre Dame to be able to get a bunch of money if that's what he wants. I don't think he needs to do that. So, like, why put in all this effort, man? He's been on campus 20 times, always tweeting to get other guys in the class and all the, like, are we really saying he's setting all that up? That's a lot of work that a guy like him, I don't even think needs to do to play these games. That's the part I don't get.
Well, think of it this way. Let's say Notre Dame's offering him $1 million. Ole Miss comes in over the top right before signing day with $2 million in a private jet, like Jackson Dart's got. Jackson Dart has access to a private jet whenever he wants. That's the difference.
Wow, cool. And then what? You become an adult, and then, like, what? Do you still get the jet? Like, that's such a short-term win. Like, it just bothers me. That's such a short-term, modern, materialistic way to do all this, is that for a few years you get to fly where you want, then what? Like, man, that's just so frustrating to me.
And I'm not even trying to be facetious about it, but I'm just saying this is college football. And if you want to go down into the deep South and you want to recruit these top players, this is what it is. You're either gonna put up the money or you're not. And then you can't cry over spilled milk when they flip.
Man, it is it's just stressful, man. So what does Notre Dame think about all this? You got any info on what they're thinking behind the scenes, or how they're trying to put it all together or hold it together or figure out what comes next? I don't have that answer either.
And the class isn't lost. Okay, the sky isn't falling if you don't get these two kids. The whole class is not built upon these two kids. Okay.
Well, you mean one of the best quarterbacks in the country, a guy that we never get, and then your top rated recruit on defense? It's a big deal.
I mean, it is a big deal. It's all cosmetic. But you got to restock and reload. I think the best kid in the class, just my opinion and what I've been told by people that have national championship rings, that Will Black is pound for pound the best player that Notre Dame has right now. Now, if he was flipping, yes, I would be throwing up major red flags. But Deuce Knight is not.
How many touchdowns? How many touchdowns is Will Black going to score for Notre Dame? Like, I just can't. Like, you need. We can't just be good at the crap we've already been good at, because we don't win enough doing it that way. You got to start being good at other stuff. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, O-line you. We don't have a trophy to show for nothing for it. You need to start being good at other positions, namely the ones that put the ball in the end zone.
Right. And I think CJ Carr is going to develop into a good quarterback, and you got to keep him upright. And I think this year it's going to be a glaring weakness on Notre Dame's part, because I think the interior offensive line is going to be bad, and you're starting 2 new tackles and you have no depth. So it doesn't matter who's back there. You could put Joe Montana back there, but if you can't keep him upright, it's totally irrelevant. And I'm not trying to.
Dude, I love good offensive line play. I love good offensive line play. But we've seen way too many Notre Dame years where an offensive lineman's their best player. You can't win that way. You need these skill guys to also be a different level than what we've had. And that's what Deuce provides. Man, I hope you're wrong, dude. And I'm not questioning your information or your sourcing. I just hope that, like, the relationship Freeman thinks he's built with Deuce is genuine enough that it wins the day, and they see it as bigger than a money grab up front and whatever, man. I really do hope that, because this is really stressing me out.
And this is what I wanted to talk to you back at the end of March about, because I knew back then. I knew before, what's his name, Doug Johnson at 247. I knew before him
You knew what before him? That this may happen?
That Deuce Knight was going to be a crystal ball to flip to Ole Miss.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that it's happening, right? Like, those are different things.
It's wrapped up in the same thing. It's just that you just cannot let one or two kids completely rue the day. And the biggest concern I have is that wide receiver for Notre Dame, because they have no playmakers outside. I think they're going to struggle. Because if you're Deuce Knight, go look at the receiving crop that's going to Ole Miss versus what's at Notre Dame right now, and tell me where you'd want to throw the ball to.
Yep. It's frustrating.
So, I mean, the people can get mad and pissed off, and
I will
do what they do.
I will.
And they can hate Ohio State all they want.
I will.
Brian Hartline's got 6 receivers in the first round. So
yeah,
that's kind of the difference.
I need Notre Dame to start figuring out how they're going to navigate these situations moving forward. That's what I need, because you can't permanently be in this position where you're good till you're not good, and then you're screwed. Something's got to give. And if it's, we don't want to be in this game, we're joining the Ivy League and we're not going to do all this to try and compete, then if that's a decision, then they'll make a decision. But you can't be in this no man's land where you're trying to compete. You put yourself out there and you never get over the hump. Something's got to change. You can't live that way.
And from what I've heard around Notre Dame, this is just what I've heard, is Marcus Freeman is doing an effort. He is pushing. He is putting it out there. It's just that, being a first-time head coach at a major program and you're completely trying to undo 10 years of complete dumpster fire is really tough. And, like I've said before, you got to give Marcus Freeman grace on some of this stuff. And he doesn't probably have relationships built in the South. You got to go out there, turn over rocks, and find kids. And also, don't be listening to all these recruiting sites all the time, because more 3-star kids played in the Super Bowl than 5-stars for like the last eons of years. Just because somebody that is a rating guy that's never put on a football helmet before, or even knows what a bike helmet is, or knows what a 3-4 is, that watches some tape and does some analytics and say, this kid's good, you can't always trust these people.
Man, all right. You stress me out. Good. I'm glad you called, but you stressed me out. And you know what else, too? This is a bad way for me to get off the air and then go to Notre Dame now that I have this negativity in my head and I'm going to campus. It's going to piss me off. It's gonna be on my mind. I'm gonna be agitated the whole way driving there, like, damn it. And I'm gonna be there all day.
Well, John, just one of the things is that's why I tried to reach out and talk to you, because I could disclose more information if we weren't live on the internet.
Oh, yeah, but do I want the information?
The information is a double-edged sword. I'm just saying that, I see people in the chat want to discredit me, but I was on top of this before 247 had it, and the guy that covers Ole Miss on the beat. Oh. That's why I reached out to you almost 2 weeks before they put it out. And the last time we talked, I said, you might want to call me off air right before the story ran.
I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. And I'm frustrated. And I don't know how Notre Dame navigates out of this. All right, man, I got to get going, clean up a little bit, and hit the road. Thanks for hitting me up. Appreciate you.
All right. Have a good one, John.
Have a good weekend, buddy. Take care.
Yep.
Yeah, good question. Good question. But dude, I don't know. I'm going to clean up, go to Notre Dame, try and enjoy my day, try and relax, and just think about Notre Dame finding a way to navigate through a lot of this stuff. So I don't know. Whatever. And I don't know that guy I don't know that guy. I don't know his sources. I don't know any of that stuff. It could be that guy. I don't know. Everybody's asking, who is that? What is his source? I don't know. So I have no idea whether to know what's legit or not with that guy. I don't know. I don't know his life story. He's called the show a handful of times. I don't know his life story and all of his connections. I have no idea. Oh, now it's 1,000%. Look at this. Deuce and Ivan are 1,000 not coming to ND. All right. On that bright note, I'm going to get ready to go to Notre Dame so I could be miserable and have that anxiety in person on campus. It's going to be awesome. Thanks to everybody that donated, everybody that called, everybody in the chat, everything. And I really am going to try and just not worry too much and have a good day and go support Jack in his little event here tonight, everybody. Have a good Father's Day. We'll see what's going on Saturday. I don't know. I might have Father's Day stuff I need to do. I don't know. Let's see what's going on. But man, it's thanks for being here. This has got me now I'm all messed up. So see you guys later. Take care.